predicting every promotion and every relegation in the English divisions in the 23-24 season. This is going to be challenging. Welcome back to yet another video, guys. As I say, we are predicting every promotion and relegation, starting from the Premier League relegation all the way down to the National League promotion, because they are the two gateways into the Football League. This is just a fun video idea to do during this international break. Feel free to predict down below who you think is getting promoted from these divisions and relegated from these divisions down in the comments. While you're there, do make sure to hit that like button. Let's go for a big one. 699 likes on this one. Do make sure to show some support whether you agree or disagree with my predictions. Like I say, do share your thoughts down in the comments as well. And while you're there, do make sure you are subscribed. As I've said before, we're pushing for 50,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Let's get into the predictions then. Starting off with the Premier League relegation battle, I am actually re-recording this because while I was making this video, Everton got hit with their points deduction, which means the table has changed. Everton have now plunged into that bottom three, which makes things a lot better for the Luton Town, Bournemouth, Sheffield United and Burnley fans, and obviously not great news for Everton, and I suppose it makes it a little bit more interesting for the neutral, because when I made my video giving my new Premier League predictions a few days ago, I did say that I think Luton Town, Sheffield United and Burnley are going down. Has my mind now changed with an Everton 10-point deduction? This is difficult, you know. I never want to see all three sides that have gone up come straight back down. As I said, it's not really great for football, and the law of averages suggests that one or two usually get over the line. Now, I can't see all three staying up this season. I can't really see two of the newly promoted sides staying up. I could see maybe one, if one of them just puts together a good little run, whether it's Luton, Sheffield United or Burnley. They're all pretty much similar. They've all picked up just one win. But I've got to be honest, despite an Everton points deduction, I am going to stick with Luton Town, Sheffield United and Burnley to be my bottom three. I just think Everton, despite now being plunged back in, it's going to be massive. We will have to wait and see if this affects them in a negative way, or will they respond in a positive way and start battling even harder. I still just think they've got too much about them, and Everton have a knack of getting over the line. Of course, we need to mention Bournemouth, Fulham, and as we said, perhaps some Crystal Palace and Forest fans might be looking over their shoulders, but I have said this season it will probably be a low tide, 33 or 34 points to stay up, and I am looking at the three teams that have come up to be my bottom three. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be predicting these three to go down, but it's just how I feel right now, and hopefully, because my predictions can be unreliable, one or two of them might stay up now, but I do think Everton will get out of this still. I'm going for Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley to go down. Up next then, we have the Championship promotion race. This is the three teams that will be replacing the three teams that have come down from the Premier League. And what's perhaps more fascinating with promotion than relegation is you have the playoffs. So you really could be looking at a team that's actually in the bottom half now that could actually get up to the Premier League, because all you need to do is get into 6th place come the end of the season, and that could be enough to get you over the line. In a video I made a couple days ago, I did say I think Leicester City win the league. I've predicted Leeds United to go up in 2nd place. Both Leicester City and Leeds United look really powerful, but you can't ignore Ipswich Town. Look at where they are right now, and I do think if they don't get top two, I think they've got a very good chance of getting top two, but if they weren't to get top two, I think they get playoffs at a minimum. McKenna is doing a fantastic job there. You also need to highlight the likes of Southampton, another relegated side. They're looking very powerful. I think they get playoffs at a minimum. The likes of Preston hanging out in the playoffs right now. Sunderland, they got to the playoff semis last year, and I have said previously that I think West Bromwich Albion make the playoffs. I also think you need to keep an eye on Middlesbrough. They're in good form. They made it to the playoffs last year. You also need to give a mention to the likes of Hull City, Cardiff City. Like I say, there's even teams like Bristol City, Blackburn, Norwich, Watford. If these teams put a run together, they could get into the top 6. But my prediction for the three teams to go up are Leicester City, Leeds United, and I think if Ipswich don't get top 2, I think they're going to win the playoffs. They don't lose many games. So I'm going for Leicester City, Leeds United and Ipswich, the current top 3, to be my 3 picks for the 3 teams going up to the Premier League this season. Share your thoughts on that one. Leicester, Ipswich and Leeds. On to the Championship relegation battle next. These 3 teams will be going down to League One. And I did give this one away in a video I did recently. My gut feeling right now is Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham and I've gone for Huddersfield Town. I do think right now we're looking at 3 from the bottom 4. There is of course the possibility that teams just above them could get sucked in. I do think Coventry City have got enough to get away from this. Plymouth Argyle I think have looked pretty solid this season. They've got a good manager in Schumacher. Despite Birmingham City's poor form, I think they will be okay as well. I think it will be 3 of the bottom 4, and I'm going to go with Queen's Park Rangers. They've not been in great form, but they have picked up a couple draws under the new manager Cifuentes. And Huddersfield Town, although they've been okay on occasions under Darren Moore, I don't entirely trust them. They've conceded a lot of goals in some games, so I'm going for 3 Yorkshire teams going down: Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham and Huddersfield Town going down to League One. Give me your predictions for the 3 to go down from the Championship. Next up then, and we come on to the League One promotion race. This is a really interesting one. Once again, with promotion races, you could look at a team that's currently mid-table and say, well, if they can just sneak into that top 6, they could be going up. Let's start at the very top end. I think Portsmouth are looking very strong. They're unbeaten so far this season, which is incredible. 36 points picked up. And despite it being very close between them, Oxford United and Bolton, I do think Portsmouth this season are going to break that 12-year spell away from the Championship. I think Portsmouth are going up. Oxford United have really impressed me this season. They've caught me off guard. I think I predicted them to finish around mid-table at the start of the season, and you look at them in second place, they've been fantastic. It is worth highlighting, of course, that Liam Manning has now gone to Bristol City, and they are in the process of replacing the manager as I'm recording right now. I think Oxford United, if they don't get top 2, will probably get playoffs. The amount of points they've churned on at the moment makes me think they'll get a top 6 finish at minimum. But I do think Bolton is going to be my other team to get a top 2 finish this season. I did predict Bolton to win the league at the start of the season, and I think there's still a strong chance that that could come through. At this moment in time right now, Bolton Wanderers have won 7 straight games in all competitions. They are flying. They are hurtling towards that top 2, and I do think my prediction of Bolton to win the league is in good stead right now. I'm going for Bolton and Portsmouth in my top 2. When it comes to the playoff picture, this is where it gets really hard. I've already mentioned how impressed I've been by Oxford United. Another team worth highlighting is Peterborough United. I always do expect them to perform well in League One. They are always one of the stronger League One teams, always capable of scoring lots of goals when they've got the likes of Mason Clark, Poku, Clark Harris. And I do think Peterborough United will be in the top 6 when we get to the end of the season in May. Can they do one better than last season where they dramatically lost out to Sheffield Wednesday? Stevenage up next. This has been an incredible story, coming up through League Two's promotion places, and they're in the League One playoff spots right now. They've had an incredible start to the season, and I do think that Steve Evans is one of the best managers in the Football League. I just think he's so effective, and I do think Stevenage could hang out in that top 6 come the end of the season. It's going to be hard to sustain this good start, but why not? They've been brilliant so far. Then you've got the likes of Barnsley and Derby County, always teams that you're going to predict to do well in this division. Barnsley have been promoted from this division so many times. They've got a great player in Devante Cole. Derby County are level with Barnsley in the table right now. They've got the 2nd best defence in the league, the 2nd least amount of goals conceded in the division. And when you've got the likes of James Collins and Martin Waghorn bagging in the goals, I do think Derby are going to get a top 6 finish. You've also got the likes of Blackpool just on the edges as well. I think this is a really fascinating debate, and when it comes to the playoffs, anything can happen. People say it's a lottery. I'm going to go with Derby County. As I highlighted, their defence is one of the best in the league, and they've got 2 really good goal scorers in James Collins and Martin Waghorn. There's really not a lot between these teams. A lot of them, in my opinion, have an equal chance of going up, but my 3 to be promoted are Bolton Wanderers, Portsmouth and Derby County. That's 3 big clubs coming up to the Championship. They're my 3 to go up. Do share your thoughts on which 3 teams are coming up through the League One promotion places. As I say, this is wide open, really difficult to predict. And then moving down the table, we've got the League One relegation battle. This one's really difficult, especially when you've got 4 teams going down. It's very unforgiving if you're a team battling to stay in League One. We'll start with Wigan Athletic, who are in a false position in my opinion. Remember the 8 points deduction, and they would actually be 8th in the table if they had those points added back on. It's frustrating, of course, for the Wigan Athletic fans, because you'd look at them as a team that might be able to make the playoffs this season. They still might. They've been very good, but At a minimum, I'm going to say they're staying up. I think at least mid-table this season. I do think they are in a false position right now. It's the teams below Wigan where it really does start to get interesting. You've got Northampton Town, who've just come up through League Two's promotion places. Northampton are only just above the bottom 4. They've got Sam Hoskins, who scored 9 goals this season. And looking at their results, other than the 4-0 defeat to Derby, they've been in pretty much every game. So they are competitive. I do think Northampton Town will just have enough to stay up. Next up, you've got Exeter City. They're level on points with Northampton Town. I was really impressed by their run in the Carabao Cup, especially when I got to see them playing Middlesbrough for 90 minutes. I thought they gave it a really good go. It's just 4 points picked up in their last 10 games. They're 24th in the League One form table. Unless they turn it around pretty soon, Exeter are going to be in that bottom 4. Because the team just below them, Fleetwood Town, they've actually been in decent form. They've picked up a couple of decent results lately. They're 23rd in the home table, so they could do with more points at Highbury. But Fleetwood, you look at them as a League One regular, they've got a fighting chance, haven't they? Just below them you find Carlisle United. I think it's going to be an absolute scrap for Carlisle to stay in the division this season. I did predict them to just stay up at the start of the season, and I think they've got a fighting chance. Right now I'm pretty much 50-50 on Carlisle. They are out of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, so they can put all of their focus into staying up this season. I do think it's going to be tight. Cheltenham next. They've had a slow start to the season, but they've picked up 8 points in their last 5, and after that long goal drought, they have started to score goals. There's a lot to do though. Although the form suggests they're moving in the right direction, they need to keep it going for a long time to really reduce that deficit, because that slow start to the season has really killed them. But they have still got a chance. And then you've got Reading at the bottom. Now Reading, once again, we'll mention they've been hit with a points deduction, but it doesn't completely change things, because they actually would be 23rd if you added those 4 points back on. It's very bleak for the Reading fans right now, and I do think they will be going down unless something dramatic happens in the second half of the season. So my 4 to go down, I do think Reading, I do think Cheltenham, and then I'm really conflicted on the 3 teams above them. Do you know what? I'm going to go with Carlisle United to be the team that just stays up. As I say, this is so close and it could come down to goal difference. But Carlisle United have got the best defensive record in the bottom 10 teams in League One. And maybe that tight defence can get them 0-0s, 1-1s, couple 1-0 wins, and maybe they just claw themselves over the line. But this is desperately close to call. I'm going with Exeter, Fleetwood, Cheltenham and Reading as my 4 teams going down to League 2. Share your thoughts once again. And then next up we have the League 2 promotion race, and this is just carnage. At the start of the season, my 3 teams to get automatic promotion were Stockport, Wrexham and Notts County, in that order, and I do think that has a good chance of coming true. Let's highlight Stockport County first. Despite not the best start to the season, they've won 11 games in a row. 11 games in a row. They are absolutely flying, and I just can't see Stockport not doing it this year. They have responded the best possible way to a playoff defeat last season by putting everything into focusing on going forwards this season, and Stockport looks so strong this year. I'm standing by them winning the league, which was my original prediction before a ball was kicked. And then you've got Wrexham, the team I actually predicted to finish second. Now there is a long way to go in this season, but you can draw some parallels between Wrexham and Stockport. Both sides had a wobbly start, a few too many goals being conceded, not many consistent back-to-back results, but 16 points in their last 6 games has Wrexham moving in the right direction. And when I look at them, I just think they do look like a League One team. I do think Wrexham are going to get promoted this season, especially when 4 sides go up. Stockport and Wrexham, I do feel confident that they're going up. Then you've got Mansfield on 32 points, and they could be the League 2 invincibles, because after 16 games they are still unbeaten. Maybe a few too many draws, because they've won 8 and drawn 8, but that is not a criticism, because Mansfield have been fantastic. And when I have seen them, especially away at Notts County, I think they've been so good. I do feel like Mansfield will get promoted. I know it's boring to predict the teams that are currently where they are right now to stay where they are, but I just don't see there being a lot of movement. In particular, particular with these three sides. I do think Mansfield are going up. They've been knocking on the door for the last few seasons to get up to League One. Could this be the year that Mansfield actually do it? And then the rest of the division, well, as I say, it is carnage. You've got Crewe on 32 points. They've picked up 20 of those points in the last 10 games, churning out 2 points per game. We all know that's automatic promotion kind of form. Notts County, I think they've been fantastic this season. If you use Notts County's current points per game of 1.76, that will get them on 81 points plus come the end of the season. I do think Notts County at a minimum get top 7, and when you've got a player like Langstaff who scores loads of goals, he'll prop you up a couple more places. You've got Barrow who are unbeaten in 8 games, and then it is just incredibly tight in this table with the likes of Morecambe, Accrington, Wimbledon, Gillingham, Crawley. It just goes on, and as I say, it just takes one of those sides to sneak into the top 7 and then win the playoffs to get promoted. I'm going with Stockport, Wrexham and Mansfield, and I still think Notts County are going up this season. So these are my 4 sides to get promoted from League 2. As I say, it's very difficult doing this one because Crewe have been brilliant, Barrow have been brilliant, but Notts County and Wrexham are riding that momentum wave, and possibly it will take them up another division. Mansfield have been knocking on the door for ages and they're still unbeaten this season, and Stockport, they are the strongest team this season in my opinion. So they're my 4 to be promoted from League 2 to League 1. Next up, we're moving down towards the basement of the Football League. It's the League 2 relegation battle. This is really difficult. 2 sides go down to the National League, so you have to be pretty bad to go down. If you finish 3rd bottom, you stay up, obviously. There's not a lot separating those bottom 3 or 4 sides. It is interesting to see the likes of Bradford and Doncaster only just a few places above it. Bradford City were in the Premier League 22 years ago. Doncaster were in the Championship about 10 years ago. Newport County, I do think they're probably going to be okay. It's the current bottom 4 I'm really focusing in on here. Grimsby have lost 4 of their last 5 games, as have Tranmere. They both did win their most recent game, but in general the form isn't great. Forest Green Rovers are seriously looking at back-to-back relegations here, but they have picked up 2 wins in the last 4. But they have lost 8 of the last 10. And then Sutton United, their defence is criminally leaky, conceding 37 in 17, over 2 goals per game conceded. Do you know what? I think I'm going to go with the current bottom 2. There's not a lot between this, but I'm going to go for Sutton. I do feel confident that Sutton are going down at this moment in time, and I might just lean towards Forest Green Rovers getting back-to-back relegations. Share your thoughts on the League 2 relegation picture, but it's desperately close to call. We'll finish off with the National League promotion picture then. Which 2 sides are going up from this division to the Football League this season? Well, I did predict Chesterfield to win the league at the start of the season. I know it might have been the obvious choice. I think they were the bookmakers' favourites, but it is paying dividends because Chesterfield are top of the league. They've been absolutely fantastic this season. 13 wins and 1 draw in the last 14 games, including an FA Cup win against top of League 1 Portsmouth as well. Chesterfield are flying, so I do think they're going to win the division this year. They are closely being chased by Barnet, a team I did predict to make the playoffs this season. Kabamba scored 13 goals this season. He's a good player. I do think Barnet could run Chesterfield close, but I think Chesterfield are starting to move on into the distance, and once the gap possibly becomes more than 6 points we've seen in the National League, that can be enough for the team to just go off into the distance and stretch their legs, and it doesn't become a competition anymore. After Barnet, you have Solihull Moors. Solihull, after a pretty underwhelming season last year, have been absolutely fantastic. They went so long without losing a game, and they're still hanging out in 3rd place right now. I think they've been absolutely fantastic. Bromley are just 1 point behind Solihull Moors on 36 points. They've got a very good chance of going up this season. Altrincham are just below them, and they've really surprised me this season. They're the only team to have beaten Chesterfield in the National League this year. I think they've got a very good chance of going up. And then it is just simply a mass scramble. You've got Aldershot, Gateshead, FC Halifax, Rochdale, Oldham. A couple of these clubs used to be established Football League sides. There's really not a lot to separate these, and with the National League playoffs, like I say, you just have to finish in 7th place to have a chance of being promoted. The playoffs are split into 2. You've got 2nd and 3rd, and then the 4 teams below them. You really could be looking at a team that's currently in the bottom half possibly shooting up and making the top 7 and going up. But from what I've seen so far, I am really focusing on the likes of Barnet, Solihull Moors, Bromley and possibly Altrincham. Solihull Moors are the closest National League side to where I live. I've been to see them plenty of times, and although they always seem to do pretty well in the National League and they've made the playoffs numerous times, they always do seem to find a way of breaking Solihull Moors fans' heart by losing out in the most painful way. I think I'm actually going to go with the second place team to get promoted through the playoffs, which is Barnet. On quite a few occasions in the National League, we have seen that team that's just come up short of getting first in second or third go on to win the playoffs, and that's what I'm going to go for. Chesterfield and Barnet, the two sides going up from the National League into the Football League this season. So then guys, that wraps up today's video. That's my thoughts on every promotion and relegation between the Premier League and National League. Do feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments. If you have enjoyed this video, please do make sure to drop a like and subscribe. As I say, it is just a bit of fun, and we'll be back with Football League and Premier League content next week. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.